4455. Bring your creativity to the Appleton Museum of Art, located at 4333 East Silver Springs Boulevard.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 19 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. Let's talk about your eating habits a little bit. If I were going to be honest with you about my poor eating habits, I think I could probably narrow it down to convenience. I think if eating healthy was more convenient, and I know that's a cop-out, but maybe I would. There was an announcement that I guess starting today, Chick-fil-A is going to discontinue coleslaw and start selling kale salad, right?
Yep.
And that's supposed to be healthier for you. Earlier in the year, I got this app from my phone, and it's probably been out for 10 years already, but I never had it before. And it's an app that measures your walking, which is kind of cool. It's like a hiker's app. And so while some of you may be, 20-mile marathoners, I'm proud to say we walked 3 miles this weekend, which was kind of cool. Dr. Sandeep Grewal is on the phone. He's been with us before. He's a board-certified weight loss doctor by the American Board of Internal Medicine, and he's written a book called Fat Me Not, Weight Loss Diet of the Future. And I think the U.S. government just put out a new set of guidelines. I'm not really sure about that. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. Do you have any bad eating habits, or do you eat perfectly?
Oh, no, I do have bad eating habits, and I really fight hard to stay away from chocolates as much as I can.
Oh, chocolate is your weakness.
Ooh, that's mine, too.
But that's a good weakness, isn't it? Is it?
Well, good as long as a little bit of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So do we have some new guidelines from the government?
Oh, yes, we do. The USDA and that's U.S. Department of Agriculture as well as the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services have jointly released guidelines on eating healthy. These are the dietary guidelines which are released every 5 years, and the current guideline is from 2015 to 2020. And they've been working on it for the last 3 years to gather all the scientific data and see what is really good for Americans to eat so that they have good health and there is a reduction in chronic diseases, and also how we can reduce the risk of obesity, which is the new focus of these guidelines.
Now, do you agree with their conclusions?
To most part, I do, because we have been struggling with weight gain for quite a bit of time, and we've been blaming it on fats at one point of time, and then we were blaming it on very, very high calories, but we were not getting to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem was added sugars, which they have addressed this time.
Okay, added sugars. So we as consumers, we have to be careful not to buy things that have added sugars. And does high fructose corn syrup and sugar, are they both as bad, or is one worse than the more bad than the other, I guess is how to say that?
Well, great question. Now, if you look at the research data, and this is not USDA saying the high fructose corn syrup is worse than sugarcane sugar, because high fructose corn syrup inhibits our ability to decide if we are full or not. Which in turn makes us eat more. But USDA guidelines has considered all sugars to be the same. So any kind of granulated sugar, brown sugar, sugarcane sugar, corn sugar, all of these are considered to be the same. But they do not include in added sugars fruit sugars like fructose, and they do not include milk sugar, which is lactose in milk.
Okay.
And is this going to affect the private cereal industries? Is the government going to force them to get rid of sugar frosted flakes and sugar pops and all of those cereals?
Well, I think you bring up a great point, because these guidelines these are not mandatory, but they do urge the industry to move towards healthier lifestyle. And since you brought up sugars, then definitely the cereals, one serving of cereal can have up to 6 teaspoons of sugar in it. And the total sugar which USDA is asking us to eat in a day is not more than 12 teaspoons of sugar. So if we have one bowl of cereal and if we have one can of a sugary drink, we are already exceeding that limit. The other thing is that most cereals are made up of refined grains. The other recommendation by this guidelines is that try to move towards whole grains because they have fiber in it. They have all kind of vitamins in it, and most of the cereals are made up of refined grains in which the vitamins are gone and the fiber is gone.
Yeah. So do we go to the bakery for bread, or can we still get some of the mass manufactured breads?
Well, I think we can get the mass manufactured bread. You have, the whole grain breads. You have the whole wheat bread, which are good. Try to stay away from, white flour, and try to stay away from white breads. White flour, pasta. We should try to avoid it, and even in pastas, we should try to go towards whole grain pasta.
Whole grain, okay.
How about red meat? Because will this affect the Atkins diet?
A great question. So, high protein diet and red meat. So, what USDA guidelines are now suggesting is that red meats consumption should be decreased, and the consumption of white meats, which is chicken, turkey, and as well as seafoods, should be increased. And the reason for that is the red meats are basically meats which are red in color before cooking, and that is because of a compound called hemoglobin. The hemoglobin, when we cook it, turns into nitroso compound, which is carcinogenic, which means it can cause cancers. And red meats are linked to high incidences of colon cancer and as well as breast cancer. In addition, the red meats have high saturated fats, which increases cholesterol in our body and can cause heart disease and stroke. So that's the reason they are recommending to decrease the red meat consumption and increase the white meat consumption. But protein should be more than your carbs.
In addition to the book that you're on to promote, Fat Me Not. Fat Me Not. Sorry, I misread.
I like that name too.
But you also have the Slim Plate system. So do you change your system, or were you already 2 steps ahead of the government?
Well, I think we were several steps ahead of the government. So when I saw the guidelines, I was very happy because in the Slim Plate system diet, we were doing exactly this and even better than this. So we had cut down the sugary soda. We were allowing the eggs, which USDA now allows. And the basic focus of Slim Plate system was to cut down sugar and avoid diet drinks, which now is all coming into play in these guidelines.
I want to tell you something about eggs real quickly. Robin's brother has chickens.
Yeah.
And she brought me some eggs from those chickens, and the yolk was so dark orange. I guess I could say they tasted better too. Are they healthier than if you had your own chickens walking around the yard laying eggs? Are they healthier than what you get in the grocery store?
Well, definitely, because I'm sure they do not inject their chickens with hormones to have them make more eggs. So these eggs are basically organic, free-range eggs. And free range is important because the chickens are not stressed out. So, which reduces the risk of steroid hormone being released in too much quantities in them. So I think that's much more healthier. And also, USDA guidelines say eggs are now good source of protein. They are good source of choline, which is good for the memory. They're good source of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, which is good for the eyes, vitamin D, good for the bones, vitamin E, which is a good antioxidant, and vitamin K, which helps our blood clot.
Dr. Sandeep Grewal is on the phone. Let's take a phone call if you don't mind. Good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Grewal.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Doc. Listen,
Hello.
I eat a lot of wild game like fish, and I eat a lot of deer meat and wild birds and stuff like that. How does that fit into this category, what you're talking about?
Well, I think you brought up a great point. Deer meat is considered to be red meat. So deer meat is not white meat. So you should reduce the consumption of red meat to less than 1 per week or twice in a month. But the most of the bird meats are white meat. So they are actually still recommended because they do not increase the risk of cancers. So that should be okay.
So birds and fish. He mentioned fish too.
And fish is very important. Actually, the consumption of seafood is very important. And USDA stresses that we should have at least 8 ounces of seafood every week. And we are not having that much enough. and that helps us live a healthier life because it has a lot of unsaturated fatty acids.
All right, good question. Thank you for the question.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was watching this video over the weekend, Doctor. I don't know if you've ever seen bikini bow fishing. Have you ever seen this?
No, but I will.
Oh, it's a very entertaining video. So it's
I
a.
bet it is.
All right, so fat me not, weight loss diet of the future. Why is it of the future? Because we're finally catching on? Is that why?
Well, I think we are finally catching on. When we wrote the book and when we made the Slim Plate System diet, we were talking about stuff which was not in the news yet. But I'm glad that the government, which has the biggest megaphone, is now asking everybody to do the right thing.
So before we say goodbye, give us a website we can go to for the book or for the Slim Plate System.
I'll give the website for the Slim Plate System because we are putting up 5 simple steps how you can bring your eating habits to the U.S. Dietary Guidelines manifesto. So that would be slimplatesystem.com.
Okay, slimplatesystem.com. Dr. Grewal, don't stay away so long. Come back. We love having you on the phone.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you.
Especially when you laugh at my jokes. That's the best. Thank you, Doctor. We'll take a little break and be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Democrats Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders held their last debate last night before primary and caucus voting starts next month.
The debate stage last night may not have been as crowded as the GOP's a few nights earlier, but it may have been just as contentious, with Hillary Clinton hitting Bernie Sanders on his changing stance on guns, while Sanders struck back on Clinton, accusing her of catering to excesses on Wall Street.
Fox Radio's Grinnell Scott in Charleston, South Carolina. Iraqi forces are searching a neighborhood in Baghdad for 3 Americans who were reportedly kidnapped over the weekend. One official says they were abducted while visiting the home of their interpreter. And the NFL playoffs, Denver topped Pittsburgh 26-13, Bronco quarterback Peyton Manning.
We stayed patient. We never